Today I got a real crazy one for you. And you know what? Thank you, by the way, for all the recommendations that y'all have been giving me in the comments and all the previous videos and stuff like that. It really does help, come up with ideas. And also I do get educated on a lot of attacks that I didn't know about. One of them being Lloyd Skinner. Now, I never knew the gravity of this attack. We've heard of Simon Nellis. I did a video on the Shirley Durden attack as well. So you guys can check that out right over here in case y'all haven't already. You know what? This one was a hard read. This was definitely one of the tougher ones. Now, this story it took place in one of the most popular coastal regions in famous Fish Hoek Beach. At the time leading up to this attack, there had been an increase in shark sightings. There was one video in particular, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to see if I can find it for you and put it here in the post-production. If you can see this shark here, it's huge, and this was one of the sharks that they actually sighted. And there was a picture taken of it, of course. Before this attack once again even occurred, there were numerous calls to the city or to the people that own the beach for an electronic warning system to be installed there for sharks, so that beachgoers can be alerted, and swimmers can be out of the water before any tragedy occurs. Even though a lot of people were alerted and a lot of people did stay out of the water, one of these people ended up suffering a traumatic attack, and that's a man by the name of Lloyd Skinner. He was a 37-year-old engineer from Harare, Zimbabwe, which is in East Africa. He'd been on holiday for his partner's daughter's wedding at the time. So apparently the way it happened was he was out swimming in roughly chest deep water. He started adjusting his goggles, and as he was doing this, a shadow kind of comes out, a huge shadow comes out not far away from him and starts approaching him. And before he could even react, this thing just grabs him and pulls him under. A lot of these people actually said that this shark was so big that they said it was easily as big or not even, maybe even bigger than a minibus. Okay, so this shark was literally a monster. They literally just saw goggles and a whole pool of blood, just a whole patch of blood just surface after. And it was just a horrifying scene, you know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you guys right now, the people, they literally were so traumatized. Like, the quotes from this was just really hard to read as well. So there was an eyewitness, his name was Greg Coppin. His quote, what he said was, and this is all taken from an article, I'm going to pin it, it's from The Guardian. I'm going to pin it in the description for you guys. So Greg Coppin, he was present at the scene. He stood helplessly as the enormous ocean predator, which was apparently so massive that he referred to it as dinosaur huge when he was describing it. And anyone uses the word dinosaur, like, that's, they're thinking massive. And in his own words, this is what he described, okay? He said it was this giant shadow heading towards something colorful. Then it sort of came out of the water, and it took this colorful lump, and it went off with it. You could see its whole jaw wrap around the thing, which of course turned out to be a person. And then there was another eyewitness. Her name was Phyllis McCartan. She'd actually been visiting from Britain. And according to her, the shark had Lloyd's body in its mouth, and his arm was in the air. And then all of a sudden, the sea was just full of blood. It must have been traumatizing for the people watching this too, right? How do you get that image out of your head of somebody being eaten alive by a shark in front of you? There's nothing you can do about it, nothing they can do about it. It's not their domain, it's not our domain as humans in the water. And another eyewitness at the scene, his name was Kyle Johnston. So take in like how many people probably needed psychological therapy after this. He was swimming only about 15 meters away from Skinner, and he recalled looking at the walkway and noticing people frantically waving their towels. And this whole time he thinks this is a joke. He's just like, people are trolling at the shore, whatever. So he's smiling, he's laughing, but then he notices these guys aren't stopping, so he turns around and he sees a big fin, and there's just dark water, dark blood red water. Just, it's immersed in that, like that fin. And he sees goggles as well. It's like something straight out of a horror movie, right? And obviously, like, he's just kind of stunned, so he's just glaring at it for a few seconds. And what happens is, and this is even more horror-like, Skinner's legs, or one of his legs rather, protrude from the water, and just, it's immersed in all this soup of his blood, and the goggles are there, and his leg just rises. That's horrifying, and this has happened in real life. You know what I mean? And this has happened in South Africa, which is very popular for great white shark attacks. It's actually one of the only places in the world where great white sharks, especially there's this bay there. I'm going to pin it here for you. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now, but I'm going to pin it here for you. It's a bay in South Africa where it's the only place in the world where they're known to jump out of and breach the waters like with their full bodies. You know what I mean? I'm sure y'all have seen that. And YouTube air jaws. Air jaws is crazy. So then the aftermath was, I mean, it's pretty simple. I'm just going to put it and give it to you in a nutshell. Despite intense efforts from rescuers to help salvage at least a part of Lloyd for his family, they were inevitably forced to call off the search. They felt like at this point any efforts to do so would be futile, or to look for him. Because according to Ian Clopper, who was a spokesman for the National Sea Rescue Institute, he was quoted saying that you can rule out the chance of finding him alive completely. Whether we find body parts, it's very unlikely that we'll find any body parts. But we think that the shark really did take everything. Every part of this man, beside the goggles. So that's it. So that's the story of Lloyd Skinner in a nutshell. I try to make it as short as possible, this one. See, it's said that more than 70% of shark attacks, or around 70% of shark attacks that occur on humans, is usually a shark taking an exploratory bite, and they usually leave after that. The human either dies out or gets medical attention on time, or it's not too major, that bite. But you see, 30% can also result in what this story did, unfortunately, tragically resulted in. And that was the death of Lloyd Skinner. May he rest in peace. He was unfortunately part of that 30%. And given the size and the sheer force of this attack and the predatory nature of it, it seems it most likely was a great white, by the eyewitness accounts as well. And I'll tell you, he was unfortunately part of that 30%, where the shark actually bites the victim and comes back and finishes them off and consumes them. So this has happened. This happened with Shirley Durden. I'll leave that one as well in the end screen for y'all. By the way, this is Animal Al. This is me welcoming you to When Animals Attack. Just like and subscribe if you're new. Hit that notifications bell. It doesn't always work. A lot of y'all don't get that notification. But do check out the Murder by Snake story. I'm going to leave it in the end screen. And check out that chimp attack story that I just put on of Mo the chimp. I'm not sure if y'all have heard of that, but it's one of the craziest stories ever. Same with Murder by Snake. It's a man that murdered his wife via snake bite. It's an insane story. It happened in India, in Kerala to be specific, and the other one had taken place in California, the chimp attack. So do check it out, and once again, y'all have yourself a good one. I'm gonna go rest. I'm super tired. Peace.